will be suspending all travel from Europe.
All international flights are suspended.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was too much into the flight.
Hey guys, this is Nick. Welcome back to our channel
where we're all about
living life,
loving each other,
and sharing good times with you guys. First of all, to all our viewers, welcome. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and to those who have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Like, share,
and subscribe.
Thank you. So what are we talking about today?
Today we are going to do episode 10 of our series. This is a continuation of our visa story. We're going to talk about what plans we had for traveling and how COVID-19 interrupted those plans for us.
So if you remember very well, the episode before the last one where we talked about me getting my visa and going to the embassy and all that, now this is the continuation. That was February, if you remember.
Yeah, so it was February 2020, and me and him, we had these plans. We were so excited that he got his visa, and we're like, yeah, now only one plane ride away from seeing each other and being together forever. And we started the business of looking for flights, right?
Did we start already, like immediately?
We started just to see the possibilities of which flight you can take, which ones will work for us. But we still had some things we had to do in between, like what?
Like buying my bags, my travel bags.
Oh, okay. No, you had to finish with your job and everything.
Oh, those. Okay. Yeah. So immediately I got it. I went and resigned. Why are you not reacting? I resigned.
You got your visa like today, and then tomorrow you put in your resignation.
Yeah, I resigned the next day, and it was something I was also looking forward to. I always wanted to resign from the job I was doing, and it felt so good. One day I'll tell this story why it felt so good, but for now, let me just talk about how I felt like through that month. It was the best feeling ever, like just knowing that I'm just going out of that work, and it was because of one or two reasons that's why I'm like that. It was really nice, and I remember even when people were either mad or people were, even in the workplace, people usually get mad, and someone was mad, I would just feel this cushion like in front of me that would just take away any of those stresses that work brings with it. I felt so good, to be honest.
That's good.
So through that was March, right?
Yeah, because in Kenya, I think we may have to say this, because in Kenya, if you resign, you give, it's like a month's notice.
Yeah, you give a 30-day notice.
Yeah, so you have to still work for a whole month.
So for a whole month you're working and people are looking at you. They know this is the guy going. Yeah, so it wasn't even low-key then, because I presented my resignation, and actually in like less than an hour, actually like 30 minutes after that, everyone in my office had known that I was actually leaving.
Oh wow.
That was not the plan, of course, and that's why I'm saying I'll explain in another session, maybe in the future after we are done with all this, how it got to that point that everyone knew within 30 minutes. But I was happy. To be honest, I didn't care. I was like, it's fine. Anyway, I'm going.
Yeah.
So,
but I think like for you, it was more of leaving that environment than like leaving the like you're going away.
Yeah, actually the joy to me was more of leaving the environment than anything else. I loved what I used to do. I really loved it. But I was happy to leave the environment, to be honest. So here I am. I handed over my resignation. I went back home, and days turned into weeks, and before we knew it, something happened.
Ministry of Health has confirmed the first coronavirus case in Kenya.
So as much was nearing the end, COVID was already spreading in other countries.
Yeah.
And it was now out of the epicenter, which was China then, into other countries like the UK.
Well, the United Kingdom is now on total lockdown.
It was now going into Italy and other countries in Africa, like South Africa. So
Even the US at that time.
yeah.
We will be suspending all travel from Europe.
So the wind had gone round, and even measures were taken even within the workplace where I was. So you had to be scanned for temperature, and we were not yet wearing masks then.
Yeah.
So anyway, my days were over. Just as I was leaving that day, something happened. International flights were banned.
All international flights are suspended effective Wednesday, the 25th.
So our plan was he does his 1 month of the last month of work, and then you'll take a month, be at home, be with people, gather your stuff, and just do what you need to do, and then you would travel in May, right on time for my graduation, because I was also graduating that May. So that was our plan. So we were like looking at tickets and things like that, and we had identified a few that we were considering, and we had said that okay, so tomorrow or whenever we have like a time together that works for the both of us, we would decide on a flight and probably buy it, right? And then on the day that we were supposed to decide on a flight and buy one, that was the day what happened?
The international flights were banned from the UK going into the US.
Yes, yeah.
So the UK, including
US.
some, they call them Schengen, something like that.
Yeah.
The Scandinavian countries. So the Sweden, I think so.
Yeah, I think they said
The Netherlands.
I don't know.
Yes, Sweden, Netherlands, those countries. All of them were banned.
So the flights that we were looking at obviously were passing through Europe. So we were like, so what does that mean? And how long will these last for, So we put a pause on that because we didn't really know if it would be something short-lived or like something that would last a long time, and then like our plan was for him to travel in May. So we didn't know what will have happened in May. So we just decided to pause and just see how things would go.
So at this time now, I moved from where I was staying. I moved home. Just as I moved, now we started feeling like there was a difference in the international space because things were turning, and most flights were either getting banned or now there was uncertainty on what the requirements are in flying, because people are saying now we need people to get tested, and there was no vaccine at this time. You remember?
Yeah, there wasn't any vaccine.
Yeah, so it was really confusing, but what we were supposed to do is deal with the plans that were not affected by these international things. First of all is me moving back home and getting out of work, and it was really refreshing, like staying at home. Oh my gosh, it was the best feeling ever, like spending time with family. I think since I came out of campus, I'd never spent time, like so much time with my family. I was always at work day and night, and before you realize it's 7 years and you've never spent time with family. They just see you for a few hours, maybe a day or two. Some holidays I used to work still, so it's very rare for you to spend time with them. Yeah, so it was a refreshing feeling. Then I remember as we were doing all these plans, even your graduation was affected.
Oh yeah, so my graduation was also affected because we didn't even have working graduation. We had a virtual graduation, and yeah, it was it felt bad because you were supposed to have been there by that time, right? Yeah, so I felt like now, like, because we already had this plan, okay, you're gonna come by this time, then this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do. Like, we had things already planned out, and I was like, okay, so now what do I do? You're all the way on the other side of the world. And
still in March, before we got into April, I remember just before I moved, like 3 days before, now the country in Kenya, now we started having cessation of movement and curfew was introduced.
Friday, 27th March, there will be a daily curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning.
So things started changing even within the country, and you could feel it's not business as usual. So I was like, okay, now what's going on? I'm moving home. Things are changing globally. And remember, our visa has 6 months in it. And within these 6 months, if you don't travel,
You have to start the process all over again.
I get my visa. In March, we get into lockdown and cessation of movement. In April 6th, there was lockdown. So Nairobi was segmented away from Mombasa, and it was just crazy. Local flights, all of them were grounded, except cargo. And
That there shall be cessation of all movement by road, rail, or air in and out of the Nairobi metropolitan area.
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
It was really uncertain. We were really uncertain of what the future holds.
Yeah.
Because they said they are actually banning us for 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, they're banning us from April to end of April.
You mean when you say banning, you mean the flights?
Yeah, they were banning flights, and it was just banning movement, cessation of movement. They were controlling movement of people from point A to B, and now you're wondering
what was it, like county to county or city to city?
Because Nairobi had most of the cases. I remember Nairobi was locked out of the rest of the country. So anyway, if Nairobi is locked, most of the traffic passes through Nairobi. So it's like locking anything surrounding Nairobi.
Yeah.
So Mombasa also, there was nothing moving, and that's it.
Yeah, that's just how things
So it
are.
went from 100 to 0 real quick, within 2 weeks.
You guys took some time still at home.
Yeah, we took some time off, and then I think we started working around May. I was doing some background work.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing then. Then in June,
I think
we
it was
opened
June.
fully.
Yeah.
Now business was booming. I was starting.
I think you should say it was now you're like a different business. You didn't go back to your work.
Yes. Of course, when you resign. So I didn't go back to what I was doing because I was out of it. And now I was into business. And business was really good, and I really enjoyed entrepreneurship. To be honest, I think it taught me another side of me that I really didn't think I had.
Yeah, so we were waiting, and I think from the first time there was a lockdown, the president would address the nation once every month, to say if there's still a lockdown, what has been lifted, what has not been lifted, what's in effect right now, and all those things. So in May there was still a lockdown. In June there was still a lockdown, and then we were really hopeful about July, because we were like, surely he must lift the international travel, because we were like, I'm sure so many businesses and so many people have been affected by these, they will lift something, but no.
And did you graduate?
I graduated, but I didn't have a graduation ceremony. And so I was torn between staying where I was or continuing with whatever we had planned together by myself. As I was waiting for him, we decided I'll just keep on with whatever plans we had together, just continue with those, and then he'll meet me wherever I'll have reached by the time he's able to come.
So during this time, everything was just going south, the whole world. You look at Italy, people are dying. You look at the US, the cases were going up.
God, yeah.
And the US already had locked down some of the countries from actually accessing the US. So I was like, maybe Africa may be next in this whole cycle, because it's just an executive order that is given, and that's it.
And that's it.
So I was like, you are looking at your visa, you're looking at how many days you have left, and you see you have some cushion. So you just work on the cushion you have, and hope that this disease just goes down. And please remember, it is not dependent on your country. when your country, like the cases are going down, the other countries on the other side, things may be worse.
Yeah.
And you need those countries so that your flight goes through them. So it was just chaos.
Yeah.
Like between us, we were just talking about it. We were always updating each other on what's going on. But we really didn't let it like be at the center, especially the beginning months.
Yeah.
Like right at the center of the relationship, because if it's there at the center, it means there's nothing else that's moving on.
Yeah, it really required us to have a lot of patience and faith, because like you continue with, you know, believing that it's going to happen when the time comes, but you can really see like your time is running out. Like the visa has an end date. Like after this day, it's not going to work anymore. It's not going to be valid anymore. And you just still trust and you still believe that, you know, this will work somehow and God is in control. Yeah, I remember I kept thinking about all the things that we have already gone through and all the places that He's already taken us through and all the things He's done for us. And I kept saying it will work out one way or another. We may not see it now, but it will come to pass. Yeah. So
the other thing I remember was that the US Embassy in Kenya closed down too.
oh yeah.
So you're looking at your visa and you're looking at the place where you actually got the visa in case you'll need an extension and they lock down indefinitely. You're like, what? And no one is going to attend to you.
And no, remember, like no one had any answers. Like this was new. It was happening to everyone in the whole world at the same time. So all the information that you were exposed to is probably all the information those people in those places also had. So when you call to ask questions like what will happen when this and this, they're like, we don't really know. And that's the truth. They didn't really know like what would happen, like if your visa expires, if you're this, like if this happens, if you're not able to travel, if the visa expires and it's, you know, it's not due to your own fault, like you didn't travel within that time. It was because there was lockdown and they would say we don't know.
Yeah, and remember all these like measures, they have to be discussed within a panel and those people have to meet, and it's during this time that people are being told to stay away from each other. It's during this time that even you could hear that the US is sending a plane to pick all its citizens, and part of the citizens are also workers in these embassies. So you are like, okay, it's just between us and God, because
Really?
there's nothing else that was going to help in this case.
Yeah, they did have some of those flights. What are they called?
Repatriation flights.
Yeah, but those are for US citizens only. So if you're not a citizen, like there's no way you're getting on those flights. And on top of that, they were really expensive. So we really didn't have any choice other than to wait. It's like being forced to wait. Just stay still and wait, you know? So
we moved into the next month.
yeah, so in July, so in the meantime, I had my virtual graduation, finished that, and then we were like, all right, I'm gonna move. So I moved from Seattle to Arizona, and then I did one of my exams that I was going to do, and then I still had another one, and I was working at the same time while we were waiting still. So July came along, and we were waiting to hear if the international flights are gonna be, the ban is gonna be lifted.
And
Guess what, guys?
International air travel into and out of the territory of the Republic of Kenya shall resume effective the 1st of August 2020.
It wasn't lifted.
so in July 6th, now that's when the president came to the television again and issued a directive that we are going to end the lockdown. So all the cessation of movement were going to be stopped again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the movement from one county to another, all this was stopped and people were stuck. People were stuck all this time. So when this was lifted in July 7th, we felt like maybe things will now easing up quickly. There was wind in the air that international flights, like their situation is still difficult, but the local flights might resume. So we were still hopeful. At this time, by the way, in the US, the cases were so high.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
actually overtaking, it had already overtaken China, and it was on the highest point ever.
Not ever, because it was higher after that. But
No, it was at
up
that
until-
time.
Up until
Yes.
that time, yeah.
It was the highest point ever. And we felt like, now it's like where you are coming from is cooler. You want to jump into fire. Now again, I'm wondering, I'm going into a country that the cases are even higher than my country. And still, in the countries that I was supposed to fly through, they were still banned from coming to the US. So we look at the days that we have still left.
They were actually like, we could count the days.
Now we could count the days that are remaining before the visa expires.
Because if you guys remember, you only have until 6 months from the date of your medical exam. And he had his medical exam on the 7th of February. So we only had until the 6th, because you have to land into the country before it expires. So we only had until the 6th of August for him to be in the country already. And we're talking about?
This was July 15th. We had not booked in any international flight. And if you call any airline, they are saying, we can't book you in advance.
So July 22nd came, and the president addressed the nation, and he said nothing about international flights.
At this point, I
literally.
just felt like since my entrepreneurship dream was coming alive, it was peaking steadily. I felt like this is what my calling was anyway, and whatever happens, where I am right now, I'm in a good place. The only issue is that my long-term plans are the ones which have been halted but my current plans are actually working. As we were looking through like the social media, I saw a tweet from Tourism Cabinet Secretary where he said that international flights will be allowed to fly into the country starting August 1st.
In and out of the country,
In
right?
and out of the country. Look at the list. I went into their sites, and sure enough, those airlines confirmed the same thing, that they will be flying from 1st of August.
Oh my God.
And I was like, holy Lord, now we need to get the ticket. Please remember, if you've ever flown international, you need to get those tickets early so that it's cheap for you.
Yeah.
The first time we looked at those tickets, how much did they cost?
For a one-way ticket, we could find a flight. I think we were looking, since there was no option to go through UK, our only option was really Ethiopian Airlines or Qatar Airways.
Yep.
And the ticket we were seeing with Ethiopian Airlines was like $2,200 and something dollars, which is like over 200,000 Kenyan shillings. And we were like,
We don't have that money.
yeah.
That's beyond the budget.
Hey, that was way out of the budget. And it's a one-way ticket. It's not a two-way flight. We were like, what, really? And then so we were just looking between that, the Ethiopian airline flight and the Qatar Airways. I think the Qatar Airways one was fluctuating back and forth. It depends on what time you check. It would go up and down. And also when you call this is now when you are calling the airlines, and they wouldn't confirm anything because they were not sure themselves, because it wasn't August 1st yet, so they didn't really know, so they can't give you any guarantee. They say if you book and we're not able to fly, we can't guarantee you anything.
Can you imagine you're paying money into these people's accounts and they are saying we can't guarantee that when you pay that you will actually fly? Where do you even start?
Yeah.
And they didn't even have information on will I be required to have a COVID test?
Yeah, they had no, because they hadn't been flying in and out of Kenya for, since the lockdown. So they really didn't have much information on what it was gonna be required. And you also need to know the requirements of the destination that you're going to. And they couldn't really give us any information. So we just went back and forth between the two. And then I think we decided to buy once we saw a reasonable price. We settled on the Qatar Airways. It ended up costing us how much, babe?
$10.42.
Around $1,000 to get the Qatar Airways. flight.
And remember, though, it was the only airline which had an updated requirement and what they are doing as refers
far-
to COVID-19, what their guidelines were, what they need you to do, what they are doing on their end.
Yeah.
So in their site, it was very clear what they are supposed to do and what you are supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it was just a win-win for me, because I felt like at least I'd rather go with a flight that has its guidelines right in the site.
And I think they had those things in place because they were still flying internationally. They had been flying out of Tanzania since the whole time, since Tanzania never really.
I've just remembered. You remember I had an option of going all the way to Tanzania, then flying from Tanzania.
Yeah. You know, it got to a place where we were working with a span of 2 weeks or less. And we were starting to think outside the box, like, how can we make this work, you know? So one of the things we were thinking about would be like, you drive to TZ, drive to Tanzania, then take a flight from Tanzania to Doha, then from Doha to the US.
And all this time, you know, information was changing every other day. So we had to keep on watching international news to be sure that we still can fly into the US. Because if you remember, I'm sure most of you remember, things were changing so quickly.
So quickly.
There's a briefing in the morning, a country is allowed. In the evening, a country is denied entry into another country. In the morning the next day, another set of countries are allowed. And new guidelines are put in place. So we had to keep on checking, because you can buy a ticket tomorrow. The next day that follows, the ticket cannot be used.
They don't have entry into whichever country you're trying to go into.
Yeah.
So we ended up buying that ticket on the 1st of August?
We bought on the 2nd.
The 2nd of August?
Yes.
And you are leaving on the 3rd?
Because it was past midnight. You remember?
Oh. But, oh wow, wait, really?
Yeah, I remember actually after they announced on the 1st of August at night.
That's when we bought the ticket.
Yes, way past midnight.
Yeah, so we bought the ticket technically on the 2nd for you to travel on the 3rd.
Yes, can you imagine? And the good thing about it is they didn't inflate the prices.
Yeah. So it was confusing because you don't know who's flying, when they're gonna be flying, and all of that. And people are telling you, yeah, we'll give you information when it's available, but you don't have time. That's the thing. Like we were working with a span of 1 week.
we were actually working with more of like 4 days.
Couple of days actually.
So it was like a Tuesday or a Monday?
No, I remember 1st of August was a Saturday, and you left home on the 3rd, which was a Monday. Yeah, and your visa was expiring that Friday.
And the embassy was closed.
Yeah.
So you can imagine all those equations.
Yeah.
So it was either I go or I go.
Yep.
So we bought the ticket on Saturday night. Yeah. Then I broke the news to my family.
Oh yeah, that's the
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I think that was the hardest.
So of course towards the end I actually told my parents what was happening, that this is the time that I had. And after this time I was going to remain because my visa will have expired. So the day that I bought the ticket, I couldn't tell them that I'm going to buy the tickets tonight because I wasn't sure if the prices will still be the same. Then in the morning of that day after I bought the ticket, that's when I told them I'll be flying out on Monday.
And you're telling them I'm flying out tomorrow because that was Sunday morning.
That was Sunday morning, so I'm flying out the next day.
Yeah.
So even me as myself, I didn't really know that I was going to fly out so soon.
Yeah.
Because it was not planned.
Like we really didn't know.
I didn't know whether it would be possible to travel on Monday, whether it would be possible to travel on Tuesday. I wasn't sure. So here I am, I'm telling them, I'm breaking this news, and it's when we are having breakfast. And they're like, are you sure? Are you serious? Are you really going?
Yeah,
At
and
what
they're
time?
like, it's in the middle of COVID. Where are you going?
Where
like,
are you going?
Like you're going from here. Here it's fine. Like I mean, all the lockdown and everything is stressful. But the US is where they are saying
it's the really, epicenter.
Like that is where everything is going, and you're over there telling them you're going.
Personally, I wasn't sure whether traveling all the way to the US I'll be safe.
Yeah, like
I wasn't sure. I just said I'll just mask up.
The airlines, they were practicing some social distancing, but you're traveling internationally for hours in the same flight with people from all over the country, especially like in Doha. I mean, it's an international flight, so people have been from all over.
Yeah.
Actually, the way that we were able to get that flight within a day, and then he flew the next day, and within like 2-3 days of his visa expiring, to us, that was a really show of that God was in control.
Yes.
Like, it's when you think, like, it's not gonna work, it's never gonna work, like, we worked so hard for these and we prayed so hard for these, and you're just watching the time go, and then God just shows you that his timing is right. He's never too early, he's never too late. He will show up for you, he will make things work, he will make everything work in his own time. And it was amazing. And on this other side too, he helped me. I was able to move and do all the things that I was supposed to have done before he arrived. So everything was going good.
Guys,
You have to have faith. You have to believe and trust in God, because it's really not in our control.
that was really, I don't know. I don't know what other thing can be a testament that God was working in all these things, because it was, oh my gosh. If you this is just a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Because the whole story is what we lived through. This is just us briefing you in as to what happened.
Yeah, and being that we went through all of that and our relationship was still strong, because so much was changing so quickly, you had to be so flexible in your mind and to accept things as they were happening and not allow it come in between you two as people and as individuals in a relationship. That was, I think we were very, very intentional about it, because through it all, there was a lot of frustrations in there. Like for me, when I graduated and he was not able to come, and I wasn't even able to have a graduation ceremony, like that was really frustrating. And I had to realize this situation, it's not either or, like it's not in our control, it's just what's happening. And whenever we had like either communication issues, because back home sometimes we would have like communication issues, like internet issues, to be clear, like we had to be very open-minded about things like that and just be very patient and very understanding of the situation and very flexible in your mind, that things are changing quickly and you can't be stuck in one position. Like you can't be like, this is what's happening, and just stuck there, like, because tomorrow things will be different than the next day. And then also like being quick to act, like when things change, like just be quick to act. If you need to get a ticket, just be quick finding out whatever you need to find out and doing what you need to do so that everything aligns, and getting all the information from all over the place so that you at least are the most informed, because they say information is power. So
please watch out for the next episode.
Yeah, so the next episode will be
Coming to America. Now our version.
Your version.
My version.
We'll all sit here and listen.
And it was the first time I was traveling internationally, like through Middle East into the US. For the first time. I had never been here.
Yeah. Through a pandemic. Yeah, but yeah, thank you for everything you did.
Me? What did I do?
Like finding all the information, like being flexible, being patient, trusting in God.
I think also I have to really, I know my family went through a lot through this.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't something that was planned. Imagine just someone just walking out a day after they tell you they are flying, and I've never been back anyway. So them knowing that I was going, it was really tough for them because there was no time to process it then.
I know it wasn't easy for them, so I also want to thank them for allowing him to live.
Yeah, it was really tough. Actually, that's another side, that it was really tough leaving home and leaving my family and seeing them in this shocked like
state.
environment.
Yeah, and then you don't even have time to, like, for anyone to digest any of it. So
Anyway, watch out for how it all happened in the next episode. Like we always say,
see you in the next one.
and in the meantime,
Share some love, life,
and laughter with someone.
Oh
my God.
Like, what is, why your words struggling to come out as much?
No, I don't know. So as much you drew in Ish.
So unanisongea.
I think I'm
It's okay,
good.
there's no problem. You can be close to me.